The world ended for Silas at the edge of the Whispering Gulch, nestled deep within the unforgiving embrace of Frostfall Crags. He was a man etched by solitude, drawn by rumor and tales of forgotten veins of ore, or perhaps just the stark beauty of a wilderness that stripped away the noise of living. The cabin had found, half buried in snowdrifts and listing like a derelict ship, offered meager shelter, its windows glazed with ice, its timbers groaning under the ceaseless wind. Weeks blurred into a monotonous cycle of checking traps and rationing meager supplies. The cold was a constant companion, a palpable weight in the air that seemed to seep not just into his clothes, but into his very thoughts. It was during the desperate search for firewood, pushing deeper into the gulch than prudence allowed, that he found it a dark maw hidden behind a curtain of frozen vines and treacherous green. An old mine entrance, long collapsed and forgotten, its timbers rotten, its purpose swallowed by time and snow. A strange compulsion pulled at him, a curiosity sharper than the wind. It wasn't just the prospect of finding something valuable, it was the silence emanating from within, a profound stillness that defied the howling storm outside. He wrestled loose a frozen beam, clearing a narrow passage, and stepped into the absolute blackness. His lantern cast trembling circles of light on walls encrusted with a peculiar, glittering eyes, unlike any he had seen. It pulsed faintly, a pale, internal luminescence that seemed to watch him. The air grew impossibly cold, abiding, a natural chill that burned his lungs with every breath. The mind descended steeply, twisting like a wormhole through the rock. He found relics of those who had come before, rusted picks, shattered lanterns, a single, frozen boot, and deeper still, in a cavern where the ice shimmered with an intense, malevolent light, he saw it. A structure, half formed of rock and the strange, pulsing ice, like a grotesque throne or an altar to some ancient, frozen power. And upon it a shape, indistinct, veiled in shimmering frost, but radiating an aura of profound age and hostility. It felt less like a thing, and more like the concentrated essence of the cold, given form. Silas didn't understand what he was seeing, but a primal fear seized him. He turned to flee, his heart hammering against his ribs. That's when he heard the sound. A low, resonant hum that vibrated through the ice, through the rock, through his very bones. The light from the icy structure intensified, casting long, skeletal shadows that seemed to detach themselves from the walls. The air thickened, filling with an oppressive dread. He felt a presence behind him, a cold so absolute it felt like a physical touch, stripping the warmth from his body in an instant. He scrambled back up the passage, the glittering ice on the walls now pulsing faster, brighter. The humming intensified, joined by a faint, whispering chorus that seemed to slither through the frigid air of voices, or maybe just the sound of the ancient ice cracking under some unseen pressure. He risked a glance back. In the shifting light, he saw movement within the cavern, and the shape on the altar seemed to be stirring, unfurling like a terrible, frozen flow. A wave of arctic air slammed into him, stealing his breath, coating his eyelashes in instant rime. Bursting out of the mine entrance and back into the blizzard felt less like an escape and more like trading one cage for another. The storm was still raging, but the cold clinging to him was different and deeper, malevolent, and emanating from within. He stumbled back towards the cabin, the whispers from the gulch following him, carried on the wind, or perhaps originating from the frost now creeping inexorably up his legs, his hands, his face. He reached the cabin door, fumbling with the frozen latch, collapsing inside. But the cold was with him. It seeped from his skin, coating the interior in a thin layer of ice. He looked at his hands, a gray, brittle, already losing sensation. The humming sound was faint now, but present a promising silence. The whispers were clearer, weaving his name with words he could not quite understand, yet felt deep in his soul. Ours you disturbed, now you are ours. He huddled by the dead fireplace, the fire long extinguished, the cold his only companion. The frost climbed higher, turning his flesh to rime. He was not just suffering from frostbite. He was becoming it, absorbed into the icy hunger of Frostfall Crags, his life force feeding the ancient power he had disturbed. And sometimes, when the wind howls just right through the gulch, you can still hear a faint, brittle hum, a whisper of frozen agony echoing from the peak, a warning to those who dare disturb the cold's domain.